everyone, it's Mary. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and I wanted to do sort of a try a chapter tag, but it's not really a tag because nobody tagged me, and I'm not going to do it the way it's supposed to be, the way it was created to be, which was to, I think it was to pick up, I don't know how many books, and just try the first chapter of, for example, the first one, and then come back to the video and just tell your thoughts on the book, and based on those thoughts, on those first chapters read, you would choose which book to read next. Since I had, I've been eyeing some of my books that I had on my TBR, physical TBR, for probably more than 10 years, some of them, and sometimes I just don't know why I keep holding on to them if I really want to read them. Sometimes I think I really want to unhaul them. So I picked up 7 books today that I was unsure whether to unhaul or not, and decided to try the first chapter of them. And I'm going to do this as Mel over at Mel's Bookland Adventures did, where she actually read all the first chapters of the books and then, made the video. That's what I'm going to do because I think it's very time consuming, and it's a lot of books because it's 7 books, and the time that it would have taken me to actually read all the first chapters and then get back to film the video. I think the lighting would just be different every time, and it's just not very convenient to me. So I just read the first chapters of these 7 books already in the span of 2 days, probably more or less, in between reading other things, and then decided to make this kind of video and share with you my experience with these first chapters. The first 2 books that I'm briefly mentioning are by an Italian author that I previously read before, not really enjoyed him, so I'm not sure why I own, 4 or 5 books by him. These were both gifts. I don't even remember who gave these books to me because it's been years and years, and I'm not even sure I'm offending anyone by maybe unhauling some of them, but as I said, I'll just briefly mention them because they're not even translated, I don't think. If they are, I'm going to leave links, but I doubt it. I don't think it translates very well, his writing style, but they are a short story collection, which would be like Bar Under the Sea, and a novel which is called Elianto, that's supposed to be the name of the protagonist of the novel, both by Stefano Benni. And yes, for the short story collection there's no luck because I've already read previously one short story collection by him, and I just don't like short stories in general. That's not my favorite genre, and I don't like him in short stories. So I've read the prologue of this one and the first 2 stories, and it's not for me, and I'm going to unhaul this one for sure. And then I just thought that I would give him another try with the novel. His writing style is very supposed to be kind of ironic, very absurd, but it's very heavy with supposedly funny remarks and supposedly funny even words. He plays a lot with words and with the language, with Italian language. That's why I think he's not translated very well into other languages, and it's just a bit too much. Anyway, I'm going to give him a try with the novel, so I'm just going to not unhaul this one. Next, I have the first book in I'm not sure if it's a trilogy or it's a quartet, or maybe it's not even finished yet as a series, but it's The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. Amongst the books that I will show you today, this is the most recent one that I acquired, because I think I acquired this in 2015, so it's fairly recent. It's been sitting there for a long time, but compared to the other books, I would say is fairly recent. And I wasn't sure whether this kind of series would be for me. It's kind of a fantasy from what I've gathered, and it just involves young thieves. So there are a lot of orphans that are in this kind of world, and they're kind of brought up to steal. And the protagonist of the book. He's kind of different, he's like more cunning, maybe more intelligent, but actually I don't really know because I didn't even read like the first chapter. I was reading the prologue and I didn't finish it because it was like broken up in smaller like sort of paragraphs, sort of chapters, I don't even know. I read some of them and then I was like, okay, I still think that this one could be a good one for me. So I am not unhauling this one, but probably I will purchase another edition though, because I remember getting this one by mistake because this was not the edition that I had ordered online, and it's kind of a mass market paperback. it's very bad and it really puts me off the reading of the book. I know it shouldn't really matter, but yes, I will probably purchase another edition of this one, a prettier one. Then I have a French classic. I believe this is from, I can't figure out when this was written, but I'm going to pop the number somewhere here because it's annoying. I couldn't find it, but it is the Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. So this is an Italian edition, and it's so ugly. Again, I think I have a problem with editions. And I remember I had started this book before, but left it like 20 pages in. I don't even remember why. Maybe I had something else to do and never picked it up back again. But I remember I was not that, into it. I watched the 2004, I think, musical movie adaptation, and I fell in love with it. It is one of my favorite musicals of all time, and it was not only the story that moved me, but just the time period in which I was watching it, the dedication that I put in while watching it, because it was one of the first movies in general that I watched in English without any subtitles, and I was so immersed in it because I wanted to grasp every word, every concept, and I just was so into it. So yes, it was overall a great experience for me, and I really wanted to check out the source material of that. Now that I read the first chapter of it, I realized that it's really the translation that is very poorly executed, and I hate this edition. It's ugly, it's badly translated, and I'm just going to give this one up and buy another edition because I still intend to read this novel. And I didn't say, but the story revolves around an opera house, and there is this, supposedly there's a phantom in there that really scares the people that work there, and actually starts to in his own way make his own appearances, and he demands for things to be done in the theater and during the shows. You slowly get to know the Phantom and how he relates to the other people and how he relates to the theater, and music plays a great part in it, obviously, and also isolation, just being different. And yes, I really enjoyed the story, so I hope that with another edition, with a better translation, I will be able to enjoy the book as well. Next book is one I picked up during university because I was studying North American literature, and I had read another book by this author before, and I don't know why I purchased this on a whim. It was not even for an exam or anything, but it is Wait Until Spring, Bandini by Fante. And yes, as I said, I have read Ask the Dust before, but it was such a long time ago. I don't even know whether I enjoyed it, whether I would still enjoy his writing style and his novels. So this is supposed to be the first one in a quartet where Ask the Dust is actually present. I read the first chapter of this and decided to give it a try. It was not amazing, but I think it's very hard to judge a book by the first chapter, of course. So deciding whether to unhaul, I don't know if this was a good idea basically, but I don't feel like unhauling this one just yet. So I don't know, if you read this book or other books from this quartet, let me know, let me know whether you liked them. The author is supposed to be like kind of half Italian, I think, or just he has Italian descent, and the protagonists, well, the family in this story is of Italian descent as well, and So far, nothing really major has happened. It's just talking about this family and how they interact. There are 3 boys and, you know, father and a mother, and it's just, the first chapter is from the perspective of the father, but I was kind of trying to skimming through, and I think the perspective changes throughout the book. So we'll see. The father was not that likable. And one thing that did put me off is that there are some phrases in Italian, some sentences, and they are not correctly written. The author is supposed to be of Italian descent, and just check before writing, I guess. There are mistakes, and that just put me off, but it's because I am Italian, so I was like, this is not how you write that. I got it wrong. They're not of Italian descent. They are Italian. So the 2 parents are Italian, like born and raised in Italy and then went to the US. So they're supposed to know how to speak Italian, right? And if you put in sentences that have mistakes, I don't trust you. I don't trust you, John Fante. I decided to give it a try anyway. Sorry, I just slightly changed the angle of the camera because I felt like I was like choking a little bit. I hope I look better now. But anyway, another book that I purchased while I was at university is The Crying of Lot 49 by Thomas Pynchon. And this is a very short book. And for about 5 years, I think, or 6 years, I thought this was a non-fiction book, and it's not. It is a novel. A very short novel, but a novel indeed. And it's supposed to be kind of an ironic take on postmodernist American literature. And it's honestly, I cannot say any more of the plot because it's confusing and I don't know what this book is about, basically. I read the first chapter and I decided that I don't have time to read this book. I don't want to read this book. I don't think it's ironic. I don't understand it. And it's entirely my fault. But he just writes in a way, I have not the patience to go through his writing style. And, you know, I've heard people say that you don't have to understand each and every sentence, but it's just not how it works for me. I just cannot ignore big chunks of the book that I don't understand. It puts me off. And he also writes in very, very long sentences without punctuation, and it's just very tiring to read and very confusing. And yes, I'm just going to unhaul this one. And then the last book, I'm still a little bit on the fence whether to unhaul or not. It's a big one. It's a Japanese kind of classic novel from the early 900s. So it's I Am a Cat, I believe it translates, by Nastume Sōseki, who is a big name in Japanese literature. I have this book in Italian, so I will put a picture of the original, well, not the original, of the English version here, because I'm sure it exists. And I had tried previously to read this book. I don't know what appealed to me really. One, because it was a Japanese book, and yes, I'm interested in Japanese culture, and 2, because there's a cat on the cover and also a cat in the title. So the cat is the protagonist of the novel, and it talks about this cat that kind of looks at humanity and at his owner with irony and just a lot of reflections on humanity and of the world around him. I remember, you know, reading this book and then dropping it because it was boring. And I kind of feel like it's going to be the same this time around. The first chapter is fine, you know, but it's very long and I don't know what happens, but probably not a lot of things. My edition is 470 pages, roughly. So yes, quite a big book, and I don't know if I really want to read it. Probably what I'll do is that I'm going to give this book at least 100 pages and then decide, because the first chapter is, yeah, it's fine. I liked the first chapter. I am interested maybe to go on, so I don't feel like unhauling this one just yet. So yes, I feel like this video was very long, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you read any of the books that I mentioned, even the ones that I unhauled, which were not that many, because I just can't unhaul books that I did not read. It's weird for me, but I'm trying to be better at this because I have too many books that have been sitting on my shelves forever. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!